video finds you happy, healthy, and safe. If you're new here, I'm Rhonda with Rhonda's Craft Frenzy. I appreciate you spending your time here with me today, so thank you so much for that. Today, I'm going to show you how I put together these 3 dollar store Easter DIYs that are sure to spruce up any Easter decor. So let's not waste any more time. I'll beat you to the craft table. I started my first DIY of the day with a sign from the Dollar Tree, this little egg inside of an egg. I used a mop head from Dollar Tree and jute string came from Walmart. I wrapped the mop strings around a little bit less than half, and then I used jute string the rest of the way. And I secured it with hot glue here and there. I just thought the bunnies on it were super cute and kind of vintage looking, and I didn't really want to change them, but I wasn't crazy for that pink glitter. There were holes at the top of the hanger, one top hole and one bottom hole. So I attached my hanger on the top hole, and then the one underneath it, I hung the sign with the bunnies on it at that part. And then I finished wrapping over those pieces just so I would have a really clean look. And the last thing I did was add this cute little jute bow. This was such a fun and simple DIY, and I really like the way it came out. For my second DIY today, I used this cute little bunny head I got from the Dollar Tree. I peeled off all that tinsel around it, and I kept the eyes, the mouthpiece, and the nose. And it also had this piece that came off on the back of it, but I didn't need it anyway, so I left that piece off. I used that same mop head to wrap the head in the same manner as my first DIY, just wrapping it and using hot glue when needed. And it had these knobs that were on the end, I guess to keep that garland in place. I kept those on it, but honestly, if I was to do this again, I would have cut them off because it probably would have made it smoother wrapping it around. But it came out fine, I thought. Once I had them all wrapped up, I used this pink burlap ribbon, also came from the Dollar Tree, for just the inside of the ears. So I cut it to fit and I hot glued it in place. I wanted the ears to have a little bit more defined look, so I outlined them with jute string and I used hot glue to hold them in place. Next, I took the eyes that came with it and I hot glued them in place. I also added the mouth and the nose as well. And that tinsel was such a pain to get off these little pieces, so be careful not to rip your mouth because it's not that hard plastic that the eyes and the nose were made of. The last thing I did for this cute little guy was to add his bow tie. I used a blue color ribbon that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I hope you like this cute little bunny. I do. For my last DIY of the day, I started out with a sock and I cut it right in the middle of the heel. Then I filled it a little bit more than halfway with some white sand that came from the Dollar Tree. It was almost the whole bag. I tied off that sock with the little plastic hairband because I didn't want that sand going all over the place once he was done. I used a piece of pink felt for his hat, but feel free, use whatever you have. My intent was to use stuff that I had around the house. I folded that felt into a triangle shape and I glued where it met. I'm sure there are people out there that would measure, but I kind of always get caught up in the moment when I'm crafting and I never really think to grab a ruler. It usually works out for me. Then I turned it right side out so you'd have a clean finish. I used a little wood bead for his nose and I hot glued that just a little bit underneath his hat. So here I go again, back to that mop head. I've gotten so many crafts out of this thing and it was $1 at the Dollar Tree. But anyways, I cut them in short pieces and then I began to glue them around the head underneath the edge of the hat, burning myself several times because I couldn't use my little protectors for my fingers with this little thing. And once that was done and my glue was dry or hardened or whatever you call hot glue when it's set, I started to separate all the pieces of the beard so it would look a lot fuller. He needed a little trim, so I gave him a haircut after I was done separating all those mop head pieces around, and it looks like I need a new pair of scissors. I used the ears from this little package of like 4 or 5 bunnies that came from the Dollar Tree. I glued the pink onto the white and I attached them using hot glue to my hat. And then I grabbed a pom-pom from that package and I glued that to the end of the hat. I pulled that down and I secured it to the side of the head so that his hat could be tipped over. Now it's time to make him some feet, and for this I used another set of ears from that same package, but this time I used the pink ones because I wanted you to be able to see them through all of his hair. I glued on these 3 little pearl looking beads just for the toes. I hot glued these both to the bottom of him, and he was done. I just love him and I sure hope you guys do too. As always, I appreciate you guys spending your time here with me, and I hope you found some inspiration in my video. That is the intent. I really hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. It helps it to grow. And if you saw something you like, please hit that thumbs up button, and don't be shy with those comments. I hope to see you guys again next time, and until then, keep those glue guns at the ready.